Awesome. If you're still with us today, then sounds like you are wanting to learn some great tips on Business Central. So let's get started. I have Robert Grubbs here with me today to walk you through several BC tips in just a few short minutes.
Thank you so much, Katie. I appreciate this opportunity to share some moments with you. I came to know Business Central in a very unconventional, non-conventional way, and so I've spent a lot of time getting lost in the technical aspects. So I feel like I bring some good practical skills and things to the table when it comes to just things that make your job a little bit easier. So when I go through implementations or when I visit client sites, so many times I see the users trying to conform to what Business Central is trying to do, but it's always been my goal and our goal here at Boyer & Associates to make Business Central conform to how you work. We don't want you to, there's some aspects to the solution that you have to follow through the processes that the solution lays out, but there's also some proactive things that you can do to just basically make your job easier, and that's what this session's about. I just want to add some value to your day and to the things that you get done. So with that being said, let's dive right in. I've got a couple of things I need to try to, from a housekeeping standpoint, I'm going to give you kind of a tease on something here, and then I'm going to reach down and I'm going to bring Business Central across and give you so I'm going to do a tell, show, tell for you on each of these areas. So we're going to start with a check run. So when I first started working with Business Central, whenever I would do a check run, everybody would say to go to the payment journal and select suggest payments and then build out my check run that way. But there's a little bit of a streamlined opportunity. I'm not sure if you've ever seen this part of the solution itself, but if you go to your vendor ledger entries, which are all of your open purchasing invoices, everything that's out there that's ready to be paid, right? So again, I want to filter. I think I even have a filter here. Let me move this around so I can see that. So I've got a filtered view called invoices to pay. So this would be a list of all of our open invoices in Business Central that if I went to the suggest payments box and I ran the process, it would dump all these in, and then you could either choose to take them out or leave them. But you've got a process here called create payment. And from here I can select, well, let me go ahead and select more. So let's say in this process, we decide to pay, we want to pay these vendors. So you're being proactive, you're selecting who you want to pay instead of letting the system decide and then you backing those out. So after I've made those selections, I'm going to go to create payment, and it's going to send this transaction onto a payment journal, just like you had normally, what you're used to. So here you'll see I'm in the payment journal itself, and I'm ready to go ahead and do the print and all of that process. So again, just an easier way, perhaps something you could try to see if that works out a little bit better. So tip number one, we're on our road. We're cooking with grease now. So number two, recurring purchase lines for a vendor. So a lot of times a client will say, well, every time I write a check to a particular vendor, it's always for the same expense. And so I have to go in and create a purchase invoice, and I have to code it. And so there's the ability to attach what's called a recurring item. So let's say that we've got a vendor that we always pay rent to. So I created a rent vendor. I created created a purchase line and attached to it, and it automatically drops down. It gives you the rent expense. I even put a comment in here so you can see you've got some ability to build this out in a more genuine and sophisticated way. All you have to do at this point is fill in the amount and your invoice number, and you're ready to post. So just a great, quicker way to enter your routine invoices if they go to the same, if they're going to the same account each month. This is something I didn't realize. My background, I came from Great Plains Dynamics. So in GP, if you entered a transaction, you were you had to live with it. And so if you made a mistake, if you worked at a place for a long time and you made a mistake, whenever you were referred back to that particular transaction, you got to see your mistake again over and over and over. But here you do have a little bit of flexibility. Now you cannot change a transaction itself, but you can go into your general ledger. You can go to your general ledger entries, and you've got the ability to change the description on a particular. So if you're getting ready for your audit and you realize that some of your lines don't have great illustrations or great descriptions in this description line here, I can click on the edit list, and then I can go in here and I can change a description on a particular transaction. Need this to look good for the auditor. And my spelling is horrible there, but just giving you an example of how you can make that change, or it gives you a little bit of ability to be flexible as you're working through that. A lot of times you've got, so since Business Central is an Excel based or has the same look and the feel of Excel, you can always come in here and you can make transactions similar to, so you can use, like you're in a cell in Excel. You're inside a cell in Excel. So if I go to a purchase invoice, and let's say this particular invoice, and I'm going to use that same invoice I created for rent, but let's say that there were 4 or 5 lines and they all total up to 1 line. So I can actually do my math here in the cell itself. I think I made a mistake there, but I can actually do my math, and it will, so I can enter those numbers or those values that come up. So I can use it almost like a calculator instead of having to step away from my hands off the keyboard and onto a calculator, add it up, and then bring a total back. I've actually got the ability to add that, make my computer work is in the form of a calculator. So that's the number 4. Still got a long way to go. If you're using warehouse, if you have some posting, if you're using some advanced warehouse methodology and techniques within Business Central, a lot of times you can get into a situation where from a purchase order, when you create a warehouse receipt, you get a situation where something doesn't look right, it doesn't work. Maybe you don't have a bin correct, or you don't have the warehouse employed. So your setting in the warehouse policy setup is that when there's an error, posting errors are not processed. It means that the system just stops. It doesn't go any further, and you're kind of left there wondering what the heck's going on and why you can't process the entry. And you're probably picking up the phone and calling Boyer and trying to figure out, what can I do on my next step? But you do have the ability here to, if you go to that warehouse setup where I was just at on that screen, and within the warehouse, so you'll see here, this was the screenshot I was sharing a little while ago. You've got the ability to stop and show the first posting error. And so that's monumental in that if it does, so before, out of the box, it gives you that posting not errors, no more processing. But if you change it to stop and show the first posting error, at least it gives you a clue of what is causing the transaction to stop or to fail. Gives you the ability to step back, pivot, understand what's going on, and then making the transaction correct so that it will go ahead and post, and you can get your warehouse up to date and the transactions processed. Edit in Excel is one of my favorite things. So this came in edit in Excel functionality came in about the same time that I came into Business Central. And so I gravitated towards it, and I've always loved it. So edit in Excel is an ability to bring data out of Business Central, modify it within an Excel environment, and then publish it back into Excel, into Business Central with the corrected information or whatever you're trying to add. You could mass add vendors or customers or whatever. But I'm just going to give you a quick, simple illustration. Let's say on our vendor list, you'll notice that all of our vendors have this posting group of domestic, and I created a new posting group for business reasons. I've created a new posting group, and I want to apply that to each of the vendors in this group, right? So I've got this little button right here. It's kind of it kind of moves around sometimes, but right now the edit in Excel. So what it does is it takes this table out and it puts it into Excel format, and I can make changes or modify it. So again, in my business case here, I want to change the vendor posting group from domestic to updated. So you'll see that it pulled all the data out of all my vendors. And so these are all the data tables. And if I go over here to the right, I have a vendor posting group. So I want to change this to, I created a new posting group called updated. And hopefully I spelled that correctly. So I made all my changes here. I've got a button here to push that back. So I'm going to say publish, and let's spell it right. Oh, I did it. Updated. So again, it will error out if you are trying to add something that is not recognizable to the system. So if you have something not set up, it won't recognize it, and it also will not copy over locked fields. So if there's a field that's locked for whatever reason, it will not take that. So you'll see my workbook is successfully published. So I'm going to close that, kind of done with that. And I'm going to go back into my Business Central. You'll see that all of my posting groups before were domestic, but I'm going to change. I'm just going to refresh my screen, and you'll see that all of those posted changed to that updated. So again, I use that edit in Excel if I want to add a large number of vendors, if I want to add a large number of customers, anything with master records, if I want to add chart of accounts. The edit in Excel works real well. You just export it out, make your changes, and then push it back. Get back. So that was number 6. So for bank reconciliations, the Business Central Microsoft has really been dialing up the practicality and the ability to do the bank correct and the ability to get data in. So when you first, kind of the basic level of Business Central is actually like suggesting lines, which just completely copies over your bank lines already. But you can come into your bank rec, and let me maneuver there to my bank account reconciliation, and I've got one open. And with a really simple template, you can create. I created this right before the call. It took about 5 minutes. But if I go into the bank and I do the import bank statement, it simply wants me to grab that file, which I saved here. And so I'm going to hit open, and it will bring in all of your bank transactions. This one has like 275 transactions, I think. And it brings all of those in. And as it brings them in, it'll go ahead and match them. It'll go ahead and start the matching process as it brings those in. So just a really quick and easy way. You can go through the assisted setup to create, if you've got a file format that you download from your bank, there's an assisted setup that'll walk you through that import process and building that import file. But just a beautiful way to get the transactions in from the bank into your system quickly and efficiently. This is a great slide. There's a lot of keyboard functions that are available to you, but each, so like I just started using Business Central, just pointing and clicking and typing. So I struggle to meld in, but all of these functions are available with it. These keyboard functions are available. So there's lists. We can provide you a list of your shortcuts or whatever functions. One of the best ones that that I do use all the time is what's called Control F8, which basically copies the line above you when you're in a general journal. But there's a slew of opportunity to, if you can retrain yourself to use these keyboard functions, there's a lot of great opportunity for you to save time, save clicks, save just be able to get directly to somewhere where you would like to go through those shortcuts. An analysis view is something that if you read the instructions on the in the Microsoft page, it might intimidate you, but an analysis view is a great way to add additional color to a trial balance or whatever. So if I go to my chart of accounts, I see my trial balance, I've got information, but an analysis view gives me kind of in a grid format. Yeah, I can split this out by dimensions or by period. So I created an analysis view based on revenue. And what I want to do is I want to see this analysis view. Let's say I've got parameters, search parameters in here. So I want to do I'm going to run this analysis by view here. So I'm going to program in I want my columns to be my customer group, which is one of my dimensions. And I want my dates to be for the current year. And I'm in a test system, so it thinks it's 2022. But I'm going to put in my dates. And so I've got my account filter. Well, I just want to see the revenue accounts. And so if I click this, you'll see I've got a great view of the, it's almost like a trial balance in an extra dimension, right? So I'm seeing my total account. So this is my total per GL code. And then I break it out by the dimensions. So I could run this report by any of the dimensions I've got set. So if I wanted to run it by department, unfortunately, every time I make a change, it reverts back the date. But again, this is by, no, put in the wrong date. This gives you the same data by my department dimensions. And of course, all of my sales, and this is not a best illustration, but it just shows you a way to take your trial balance and to unfold it into dimension level. There's some other ways to get that done, but I love the analysis view. And then also, as always, in everything in Business Central, I can click into these numbers, and then I've got entries that are sorted by the specific dimension and such that make so everything is drill downable, and I'm able to get to those amounts with no problem. So the analysis view, inspect page data to get more detailed information. So this is helpful a lot, and I'll tell you exactly where I like to use this is so every time you're in something, and let's go to a posted purchase invoice. So this is a transaction that was posted in the past. And so again, here's information that's related to that transaction. I can do a show more to get a little more information. But if I come up to and I click on the question mark here, and I go to help and support, and if I go to inspect pages and data, it brings up a whole nother box. And these are all of the fields that are in the table, many of which are hidden. So there could be some. So if you tried to figure out who posted this or who created this invoice from here, you wouldn't be able to find out. But if I went to my page inspection, I think I can type in user. Maybe it's posted. There's a field that says who actually posted it. And then at that point, it would identify. So again, there's so much more information that's available at this level, as opposed to just looking at that from the top level. So the page inspection will show everything that might show some deeper information for you. Trial balance by period reports, another kind of column form. So if you come to your trial balance in Business Central, let me close these other things from the last illustration. So if I go to my my chart of accounts, again, I've got a static, here's where I'm at right now. But if I go to my trial balance period, and it's going to ask me, well, when do you want to start? So I'm going to say I'm going to start 1/1/2020. So I'm going to print this, and it will give me this. So here it just gives me a trailing 12-month of all my chart of accounts. So it's a great way to kind of track your your monthly activity. You can also sort that report by dimension. Close it a little too quick, I apologize. But I can sort that by dimension, or I can slice and dice that whatever way is best, or however you're trying to sort through that. So, went the wrong way. The company badge. The company badge is up in the top. It used to be a huge bar that was in the right here. It was a block, but now the company badge is right here, and it tells you where you're at whenever you're in the. So a lot of times I'm working, I can see, I know I'm in the company, I can click on here, but if I get pages open and it starts blocking this, I can always refer back to my company badge so I'll know where I'm at. And you can customize this any way you would like. So it can be color coordinated for your liking. But if I go to the company info, there's a place down here for the badge. So I selected dark green. So let's just go red and we'll say, okay. And so now when that refreshes, my company badge, that little circle up there is now, again, just kind of gives you another frame of reference when you're trying to stay where you are and understand where you are in the process. This is it's not really a Business Central tip. It's more of an internet tip. But I like to open, like if I'm working in something. So right now, let me go back to my home page. So I'm in my home page, and let's say I'm in a vendor. But also I want to open an invoice. So if I can come up here and I can go to duplicate tab. And so I'm in the same company, I'm in the same instance. So here I can create a purchase invoice, and then if I've got dual screens, I can pull one over to the other screen, or I can refer back and forth. So here I'm in my vendor list here, and in my other tab, I'm in my purchase invoice. So again, just the function of, you can also do that by clicking this little pop-out button here. This will pop out whatever screen you are in into a separate browser tab. So again, you're not taking up licenses, you're not holding anybody else back. It's just easier to be able to get more things done. So this is something that I very rarely see used, but I like this, especially if you're a delegator. So you've got what's called user task in the system. So I went in and I assigned myself some user tasks which show up as one of these widgets. So if you'll see up here, I've got pending user task. So I've got 2, and I created these for myself. I need to close the GL periods, and I need to update the vendor posting. But if you are the controller, or if you want to divvy those out, you can go to user task, and you can create a task. Oh, went the wrong way. Apologize. You can also do a group, which is where I try to take you. And assign it to a whole group. But here I can go to click on a new task, and I can just say, don't forget to pay bills. I can assign that to any particular user in the company. And then when they get to work the next morning, they're going to have a notification and a reminder on their pending task button. So again, a great way to communicate. Emails can kind of get lost in the flow. Just gives you the opportunity to go back and forth. Register customer payments, a different, newer technology, but a different way to create. You can create, recognize, or apply user payments from the deposit method, or a payment, or a cash receipt journal. But here it takes you directly to a listing of all your open balances. And so here, if you're taking payments, I can just click on the payments that I'm taking, and I can go to post, and it'll create a cash receipt journal. It'll post it, it'll go through to your bank account. Everything will be taken care of. So a one-stop shop when it comes to customer payments. Some people like to use deposits, some people don't, but just a different functionality. So register customer payments might be something you want to take a look at. Integrating the fixed asset module with the purchase module. This is huge. I grew up in a generation where everybody did things manually, but now when you since it's fully integrated, I can go to a purchase invoice, and I can code directly to the fixed asset itself. So if I go to my rent vendor, and again, if I'm buying a fixed asset, so I change my type to fixed asset, and I select the specific number of the fixed asset that we're acquiring, and I've got a new asset teed up here. So again, you're putting the check directly into the AP module, but you're also putting it in the fixed asset module, which you were going to have to do anyway. So it's a great tool to save time and energy. And I'm trying to speed up. I'm watching the clock at the same time. So copy and paste from Excel. I do this, especially if we're uploading balances or things. The only caveat is that you have to make sure that when you're copy and pasting, say a general journal or whatever, that your formats are exactly the same. So, and when I say formats, I'm talking about your personalization. So I tried to strip this down, but as long as your personalization matches your format of your Excel. So I've got a little formatted entry here. It's just 2 lines, but if I copy that, then I bring it here, I can just paste it right in. And so works really well. Again, you just have to make sure that like this empty box has to be an empty box in Excel. So again, the formats have to match and they have to equal up. Where used lists are good, especially when you're dealing with posting groups and inventory, bill of materials, but a where used list will tell you throughout Business Central where a particular GL account is used. So if I go to my chart of accounts, and let's just say if I go to accounts payable and I go to the account and it says where used list, it'll show that that particular code is used in a vendor posting group here, pending posting group there. Again, this list could be very long based on where you, but anytime an account is tagged or used in some sort of configuration or posting or bill of materials, it's going to accumulate and it's going to give you that data at that point. There's a lot of date formats. You don't have to be specific. And again, this is another document or a tips or a trick type thing that we can share, but you don't have to use standard. So like if I go to this, if I go to my general journal again real quick and I come down to the line, if I hit W, it brings the work, or if I hit T, it brings up today. So there's a lot of embedded functionality or logic based on the formatting of the dates that you put in. So I just wanted to let you know, maybe get that list if you're interested. And then on the chart of accounts, really like this piece, because when I look at the chart of accounts, when I look at the chart of accounts and there's a lot of zeros in it, it kind of gets confusing to me. Because it's kind of have to scroll through. So you can build, like in this, I just built a very simple filter. There's nothing here, but I just created a saved filter view. So now I can see only my accounts with balances. So it's very truncated. It's very concise. There's not zeros and lines and blanks that are kind of grabbing my attention. So there you go, 20 tips, but I wanted to throw one in for you because we always at Boyer trying to go that extra mile. So I gave you a free one. So there's what's called a company data search. This is new. So if you come into your Business Central instance and you type in company data, and at this point, it's going to search throughout your system. So if you just type in, it's really like a Google of your system. So here I type in desk, and it brings up all the instances within the system that somehow or another have desks tied to it. You see, I've got an item, I got invoices and purchase invoices. So again, searching company data can give you a lot of insight. That's my time. I think I'm up. Katie, I appreciate you teeing this up for me. I appreciate you guys listening, and I'd love to work with you. Someone here on the team would love to work with you. So if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rob. It was a great session. A lot of great tips in a short amount of time. We did have one question, if we could get the PowerPoint emailed out to some people.
That would be fantastic. I'll work with you on that if that's okay, Katie.
Yep. If you would like the PowerPoint, we can definitely send that to you. Just let us know. All right. Well, we're going to head on over to our next session. So I'll close out this one. If you want to learn some more about GP, you can go join us there. Otherwise, we'll see the rest of you tomorrow. Thank you.